Hey everyone, and welcome to the Empowered English Learner. I'm Nathan.
And I'm Alina. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you've ever felt like learning English is about more than just grammar and vocabulary, you're absolutely right.
In today's episode, we're diving into a powerful topic: how learning English can actually boost your self-esteem and strengthen your mental resilience. This is something a lot of learners don't realize at first, but it makes a huge difference.
Exactly. Because when you commit to learning a language, especially one that challenges you, it's not just your English that grows. It's your mindset, your confidence, and your ability to keep pushing forward even when things get hard.
Learning English gives you real proof that you can face difficulty and still make progress. Every new word you remember, every sentence you say out loud, every conversation you survive, even if it's awkward, that's evidence that you're becoming mentally stronger.
It's like going to the gym, but for your brain and your self-worth. And over time, the effects show up not just in your language skills, but in how you see yourself.
Let's be honest, learning English isn't easy. It takes time, energy, patience, and emotional strength. You have to deal with embarrassment, comparison, fear of judgment. But when you face those feelings and keep learning anyway, your self-esteem naturally starts to grow.
Right, and one big reason is because learning a new language requires self-trust. You have to believe that you're capable of understanding, adapting, and eventually expressing yourself in a new way. That belief becomes stronger the more you practice.
Also, think about how empowering it is when you can finally express your ideas in English. When you go from, "I don't know how to say this," to, "I can explain what I feel," that changes how you see yourself. You're no longer silent, you're someone with a voice.
And that voice matters. Every time you use English in a real-life situation, whether it's a job interview, a casual chat, or ordering food in another country, you're proving to yourself that you can handle uncomfortable moments. That builds both courage and pride.
A lot of our listeners tell us they used to feel small or invisible before learning English. But as they became more fluent, they also started taking up more space in conversations, in classrooms, in workplaces. That's the power of language. It helps you show up more fully in the world.
It also gives you access to new communities, ideas, and opportunities that can further increase your sense of value. When you grow your communication skills, you grow your connections, and that feeds your sense of belonging.
And self-esteem is deeply connected to that feeling of, "I belong," and "I matter." Learning English gives you daily wins that remind you, "I am capable. I'm growing. I'm doing something hard, and I'm doing it."
So if you're struggling with confidence or feeling like you're not improving fast enough, we just want to say this: you're doing more than learning a language. You're building strength. You're becoming someone who shows up, even when it's tough. And that's something to be proud of.
And let's talk about identity for a second. When you start to speak English more often, you may notice you act or think a little differently in this new language. That's not a bad thing. In fact, it can actually help you reshape your identity in a positive way.
Yes. Some learners tell us they feel bolder, more expressive, or even more humorous when they speak English. It's like English becomes a fresh canvas where they can paint a new version of themselves, without the old insecurities or limitations from their native language.
And that's a really liberating feeling. It allows you to step into spaces you might have avoided before. Maybe you raise your hand in class. Maybe you volunteer to speak in a meeting. Maybe you even start writing or posting your thoughts in English. All of that takes courage, and that courage builds your confidence.
Not to mention, it strengthens your inner voice. The more you practice, the more you tell yourself, "I can do this." And when you hear that voice often enough, it starts to replace the inner critic, the one that says, "I'm not good enough."
Exactly. That inner critic often shows up when we make mistakes. But one of the most powerful shifts that happens through learning English is that you realize, mistakes don't define your worth. They are just part of the process.
And when you truly accept that, you begin to show yourself more compassion. You stop beating yourself up for not being perfect, and instead, you start encouraging yourself. That's when your self-esteem really begins to grow.
Another thing that's worth mentioning is how English gives you the ability to consume information that strengthens your mindset. You gain access to motivational books, TED Talks, self-help podcasts, educational videos, all in English. That content can deeply influence how you think about yourself and your potential.
Definitely. It's like opening a door to a new world of personal growth. When you start learning from people across cultures, you start realizing that your challenges are shared, your dreams are valid, and your voice matters, no matter where you're from.
And all of this translates into resilience. Because learning English teaches you how to keep going when something feels impossible. You start developing grit, patience, determination. And eventually, those same qualities help you in other parts of your life too.
Whether it's dealing with job stress, relationship issues, or setting goals for your future, your journey with English can actually help you approach everything with more strength and emotional clarity.
So even on days when your pronunciation isn't perfect, or when you forget a word, or when someone doesn't understand you, remember, every single step forward is not just improving your English. It's building you.
And what's really interesting is how this process of building yourself through English often leads to discovering parts of your personality you never knew existed. You might find yourself more curious, more open-minded, or even more creative, because you're constantly challenged to think differently.
Absolutely. When you learn a new language, you're not just memorizing words and grammar, you're training your brain to see the world through a different lens. That mental flexibility can enhance your problem-solving skills and boost your emotional intelligence.
Plus, engaging with English exposes you to diverse cultures and perspectives. That cultural awareness can deepen your empathy and help you connect with people from all walks of life, making your social interactions richer and more meaningful.
And this expanded worldview can lead to a stronger sense of purpose. When you realize how many opportunities open up through English, whether it's travel, education, or career growth, you start to envision a bigger, more exciting future for yourself.
Exactly, and that sense of possibility is so motivating. It keeps you coming back to your studies, even when things get tough. Because now, learning English is not just a task, it's part of your personal journey towards becoming the person you want to be.
And along the way, you develop habits that reinforce this growth, like setting goals, reflecting on progress, seeking feedback, and celebrating small victories. These habits don't just improve your language skills, they build your self-discipline and confidence overall.
Right, and when you practice patience with yourself in English learning, it spills over into how you treat yourself in other areas. You become less judgmental and more nurturing toward your own growth and challenges.
This process also teaches humility, accepting that learning is a lifelong journey. That mindset keeps you humble yet optimistic, ready to embrace new challenges with courage and resilience.
And as your confidence grows, you might even find yourself taking risks you never thought possible, like speaking in public, applying for new jobs, or pursuing creative projects, all fueled by the self-belief that grew from learning English.
So really, mastering English is not just about communication. It's about personal transformation, a deep, ongoing process that shapes who you are and who you're becoming every day.
And what's really powerful is how this transformation impacts your mindset. When you start seeing yourself as a learner who can overcome challenges, that belief extends beyond language learning into all parts of your life.
Exactly. It's like building mental strength through language practice. You learn to face frustration, embrace mistakes, and keep moving forward, skills that make you more resilient in everyday situations.
Plus, learning English often encourages you to step out of your comfort zone. Whether it's joining conversation clubs or making new friends online, each experience helps you grow socially and emotionally.
And don't forget the role of curiosity. Engaging with English media, books, and conversation sparks your desire to explore and learn more, which keeps your mind active and creative.
That curiosity also makes you more adaptable. When you encounter new ideas or unfamiliar situations, you're more open and ready to adjust because your language learning has trained you to be flexible.
This adaptability is crucial in today's fast-changing world. It allows you to thrive not just in language, but in career, relationships, and personal goals.
And speaking of relationships, the confidence and empathy you gain through English can improve your interactions with others, helping you build deeper connections.
Which, in turn, reinforces your motivation to keep learning. Positive social feedback creates a cycle of encouragement that propels you forward.
So the more you invest in your English skills, the more you invest in yourself, your confidence, your mental strength, and your ability to navigate life's challenges with grace.
And this journey is unique for everyone. Some find joy in small daily improvements, others in major milestones, but all benefit from the growth that comes with perseverance and self-belief.
And it's interesting how this process also teaches patience. Learning a language isn't instant, and you realize that progress happens step by step. That patience spills over into other areas of life where immediate results aren't always possible.
Definitely. It reshapes your expectations. You start to appreciate the journey rather than just the destination, which is a huge mindset shift that can reduce stress and increase satisfaction.
Also, as you develop your English, you become more self-aware. You notice your strengths and weaknesses more clearly, which allows you to focus your efforts where they matter most.
That self-awareness builds self-esteem because you recognize your ability to learn and adapt. It's empowering to see yourself grow over time, even if it's one small step at a time.
And when you face challenges, you learn resilience, not just in language learning but in life. You understand that setbacks are temporary and can be overcome with effort and the right mindset.
Plus, the connections you make with others in your learning journey, whether teachers, friends, or language partners, provide support that strengthens your mental health and motivation.
This support network is crucial. It reminds you that you're not alone, and that many people share similar struggles and triumphs.
And sharing your own experiences helps others too, creating a positive community around language learning that uplifts everyone involved.
All these elements combined show how learning English is not just about vocabulary or grammar. It's a holistic process that shapes your identity, builds mental resilience, and boosts your overall well-being.
Exactly, and when you realize that learning English contributes to your mental strength, it changes how you approach other challenges too. You gain confidence not only in language skills but in facing life's uncertainties.
That's so true. It's like training a muscle. Every time you push through a difficult conversation or understand a tricky phrase, you build mental endurance.
And this endurance makes it easier to cope with stress and anxiety, because you've practiced managing frustration and staying motivated despite obstacles.
Plus, mastering English opens up new opportunities, which can improve your self-esteem. Being able to communicate effectively allows you to express yourself, connect with people worldwide, and pursue goals you might not have thought possible before.
Absolutely, and that feeling of accomplishment, no matter how small, fuels your motivation and keeps you going.
It's a positive feedback loop. The more you improve, the better you feel about yourself, and the more eager you become to learn and grow.
And even when you stumble, you learn to treat mistakes as part of the process, not as failures. This shift in mindset is key to maintaining mental strength.
Right, embracing imperfection and persistence together helps you stay resilient, not just in language learning but in life.
Ultimately, English learning becomes a powerful tool for self-development, shaping not just your skills but your character and outlook on life.
And that's the real value, how language learning can transform your mindset, boost your confidence, and enhance your mental health all at once.
And this transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process where each small victory counts. Every time you understand a new idiom, or hold a conversation without freezing up, you're reinforcing your self-belief.
Exactly. And when you practice regularly, you start noticing subtle changes in how you view challenges, not just in English, but in everyday situations. You become more patient and more willing to take risks.
That's a great point. Risk-taking is essential because language learning requires stepping out of your comfort zone. And as you do that, your brain adapts, making you more flexible mentally.
Which means you're better equipped to handle setbacks without getting discouraged. Instead, you see them as opportunities to learn and improve.
This resilience spills over into other parts of life, work, relationships, even personal goals. You start believing that if you can overcome language barriers, you can tackle other obstacles too.
And let's not forget the social aspect. As your confidence grows, you're more likely to engage in conversations, join communities, and build friendships that further support your learning journey.
Right, the social connections not only provide practice but also emotional support, which is crucial for mental well-being.
It's like a cycle of growth. Language skills boost confidence, which improves mental strength, which encourages more learning and connection.
And the more you immerse yourself, the more natural it feels. You start thinking in English, dreaming in English, and that internal shift really solidifies your identity as a learner and communicator.
That's when language learning becomes less of a chore and more of a passion, an exciting part of your life that continuously shapes who you are.
Absolutely, Alina. And when you think about it, building self-esteem through English learning is really about embracing growth. It's about accepting that mistakes aren't failures but stepping stones to progress.
Yes. And that mindset shift makes a huge difference. Instead of fearing errors, you start to appreciate them as natural parts of the process. It's liberating to let go of perfectionism and just focus on communicating.
And as you practice more, you gain fluency, but also a stronger sense of self. You realize that your voice matters, that your perspective is valuable, even if your grammar isn't perfect yet.
That's so important. Language isn't just about rules and vocabulary, it's about expressing your ideas, your personality, your culture. And that expression builds mental strength, because it connects you with others authentically.
Exactly. Plus, when you push yourself to speak up, you develop courage. That courage can spill over into other areas of life, like public speaking, networking, or even tackling new challenges outside of language learning.
And let's not forget the sense of achievement. Every time you understand a movie without subtitles, or hold a conversation with a native speaker, it boosts your confidence and reminds you of how far you've come.
It's a powerful motivator. And maintaining that motivation helps keep mental fatigue at bay, so you stay engaged without feeling overwhelmed.
Right, balancing progress with self-care is key. Celebrating small wins keeps your mind positive, making the learning journey sustainable and enjoyable.
And as your self-esteem grows, you start to see yourself as capable and resilient, not just a language learner, but someone who can face challenges and thrive.
Which ultimately makes learning English more than just acquiring a skill. It becomes a journey of personal empowerment and mental strength.
Absolutely. And that's a transformation worth striving for every day.
Well, that wraps up today's episode on how learning English can boost your self-esteem and mental strength. We hope you found some inspiration to keep going on your language journey.
Thanks for listening to British Accent Podcast. Remember, every step forward is a step toward a stronger, more confident you.
Stay positive, keep practicing, and don't forget to believe in yourself. See you next time.
Bye for now.